Roseanne, how are you, lovely?
I'm good. I'm good.
Good.
I was running late, but I'm happy that I'm here. And yeah, I'm excited. Let's do this.
You're here, you're on time, you're exactly where you need to be. What have you been up to this morning?
This morning, I woke up, I went and collected some sleeping bags that I'm going to drop off for COTS, and I'm sure we're going to talk about that later. I picked up some paint, I ran some last minute errands, packed my bag for uni, and then stopped by Bentwood for my podcast.
Amazing. And yes, we're at Bentwood, so I've had breakfast while I was waiting and doing some work, breakfast, coffee. Amazing here, so make sure you come check it out.
Yeah, it's a good place.
Fitzroy, there you go. What are you most excited about in life right now?
I'm excited about a couple of COTS projects that are up in the air. I'm excited about getting back into routine after one of our biggest events, and uni's back, and just, it's so funny saying that. I'm just excited about getting back into a routine. I think, summer and like mid-year are such busy times with events and things that are happening, and like I've started to appreciate the downtimes a bit more, like just having structure and routine. So I'm really excited about that, and just surrounding myself with good people. Like all of the opportunities that are coming up at the moment are really exciting. I feel like, I'm on a buzz from things like you were talking about before, like being on a high, and you're like, oh, it can't get much better than this, and then something else comes. Those little moments are really exciting for me at the moment. Yeah. Amazing.
Can't wait to dig into all of that, because it's like a amazing momentum at the moment for the people that I'm catching up with and my friends, and it's like this is amazing. Let's be in this and find out more. So we met at the Evolve event.
Yes, we did.
Brooke, for introducing us.
Brooke.
We were on the panel talking about connection, but we actually didn't get to talk about connection. We just spoke about our story.
About our biographies.
And then from there we've been in touch, and like after hearing your story, I was like, wow, okay, would love to have you on. So here we are, but I don't know too much about you. So that's where I'm like, this is going to be interesting for me to find out more about you. So for myself and some of the listeners that may not know much about you, can you tell us or give us a wrap up of your life from start to where you are now and everything that you're doing?
Okay. A whole biography. Okay, let's go. So I was born and raised in Melbourne, 96 baby, so I'm 22, turning 23 this year. I was born in a privileged, sheltered household. Mum, dad, I'm the oldest of 4 siblings. So it's me, my 2 brothers and my sister. All went to, private primary school and high school. Grew up in a Catholic home. Stuck around with each other as kids. Are really close to my family. We're very family orientated, with a lot of cousins. I'm from a Chaldean background, so big family. And it was fine. I went to primary school, went to high school, all of, whatever you want to call normal, but it was pretty normal. I don't have like a bullying story, or I don't have some like sort of traumatic story that was like my turning point in life. But if I had to, sum that up, it was just comfortable. And I was very social. Like that's one thing looking back in my childhood. I was always like school captain, class captain, tried being friends with everybody. Always help people when I could. Like it was just innate. Like I, a very woggy household. Mum was like, our house was the place friends would gather. It was always eating at our house, and mum taking food to school, and like she still does that today. So this sort of service was very natural to me. And I think that was why I say I was sheltered, because growing up, I thought the whole world was like that. And looking back now, I think stepping into like the real world and becoming an adult was my eye opener. It wasn't, being bullied or something happening to my family or anything like that. It was just my eyes being open to the real world. I was like, oh wow, like the world isn't like home, like what my home was. And that was a big turning point for me. So I'm currently a full-time psych student at ACU, so I study around the corner. I'm the founder of Christmas on the Streets. I founded that in December of 2016 by accident. So that's a charity that supports men and women experiencing homelessness. And I work part-time at a chemist because I have to make a living somewhere. And I'm here now. Like now we'll talk about COTS a bit later. But and then now I'm sitting at Bentwood with Carlo.
This is the perfect time to talk about COTS right now.
So Christmas on the Streets.
Because you were saying COTS before and people are like, what, you make COTS?
What are you talking about? So Christmas on the Streets is a not-for-profit that I founded in December of 2016. I always say I founded it by accident. People are like, what are you talking about? And it's because when COTS was born, I was never looking to start a charity. That was never on my bucket list. I never thought I was going to do that. All I wanted to do was help people. And, people say, what was the starting point of that? When did you find out this is what you wanted to do? And I, spent a lot of time in reflection and just, being by myself and asking these questions and like, how did I get to this point? Because I think when in a world that's so go, 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 it's very rare that we stop and say, okay, where am I now? How did I get here? Why am I doing this? So I had to stop and ask myself those questions because COTS was growing, my life was moving forward, and I wasn't asking the important questions. And so looking back now, I can say that, like in high school and stuff, even as a little girl, I loved Mother Theresa. Like, she's one of my biggest inspirations. Like, my two inspirations are like Mother Theresa and Tupac. How funny is that? Like, polar opposites, but for me, they're just everything. And so I, as a little girl, and going through high school, I was always like, I'm going to go to a third world country. Like, that was on my bucket list, not starting a charity. It was, I want to go and help these people in Calcutta. I want to go and, do something for the poor. For the poor. I just had this heart for the poor. And I'm so drawn to the margins, like people society rejects. Like, I've always rooted for the underdogs. That's so in my nature. And so that's what I wanted to do. And, at 16 years old, I sort of had that, I want to do something right now. And Mum was like, girl, you stay in high school. Like, you're not going anywhere right now, maybe later. And so I donated my 17th birthday. That was the first thing I did because I found a link online
As in the money you got from your birthday?
Yep. So I started a page on a charity called My Charity Water. And what they do is you can give up an event in your life, and instead of receiving presents, the money goes on this online campaign and you build a water well in a third world country.
Amazing.
And I chose water because I found out that 5 people weren't reaching their 5th birthdays because they didn't have access to clean water. And I was like, man, the water in our toilets is clean. Like, I want to do something about this. I was like, I had a 16th, I don't want a 17th, let's do something. So I did that, raised enough money, and the first water wells I built were in Cambodia. Wow. You get the GPS coordinates like 17 months later, and it was pretty like, whoa. And I was like, now I've got an excuse. Now Mum has to let me go to a third world country. And that didn't happen. And so I donated my 18th. I built another water well in Ethiopia, and then my biggest water well was in Mozambique for my 19th birthday.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, by the time I finish high school, I'll have built all these water wells, and then I'm going to go and meet these communities that they're sending me photos of. And for everybody that's like, oh, I can't wait to hear about how she went, I still haven't gone, guys. I still haven't gone. But by the time I built that last water well, I had started uni. So I finished year 12, thought I was going to, study something else at a different uni. Like, everything went, I was like, this is the worst thing ever. My life's falling apart. But I ended up in the city, going out to the city more often. And a group of friends and myself, we started going to Melbourne Central Station at the Coles there. We would pack little bags and we would go out and speak to people on the streets because it was the first time we'd encountered them. The only other time I'd spoken to a homeless person was when I was in year 12 and a teacher of mine said, I'm taking a group of students to volunteer at a charity, and they just serve plates at Flinders Street Station. And that was the first time I'd ever encountered them. Before that, if you asked me to help poor people here, I would have said that's not possible. I've got to go to Ethiopia. I've got to go to Mozambique. I've got to go to these places because I was just so, I was so sheltered. Yeah. Like, I had no idea that we had people that were struggling here in Melbourne. Because I remember growing up in high school, we were always priding ourselves with the world's most livable city. Melbourne's on top of the list again. Like, that's all I knew of Melbourne. And so that was the first time I encountered them. But I never thought much of it until I started going to the city more often and seeing all of these people sitting on the streets. And so we didn't know how to talk to them. So we thought this was our conversation, started packing these little snack bags. And over time, that became the place where I felt most at home. I loved it. I loved going out onto the streets. I found myself taking detours to make sure people were in their regular spots just to check up on them. And so December 2016, I was at Bourke Street Mall, and I remember
so you were only 20...
It was,
19.
So, yeah, it was right after my 20th birthday.
20th,
yep, so I turned 20 in November, and this was start of December. And I was standing at Bourke Street Mall, and I remember looking at everybody coming out of Maya and David Jones with these huge Christmas presents, and the Christmas windows were up. And I remember just standing there and seeing everybody rushing about with shopping bags and just a row of people sitting on Bourke Street. And I remember just looking at it, and I just saw this disjointed, fragmented world. And I was like, I need to do something about this. I said, the reason I haven't gone overseas is because I need to do something here in my backyard first. And so I remember just looking at it, and I went to the first person I saw on the streets that day, and I said, if I could get you your dream Christmas present, what would it be? And in my head, I was like, why am I asking this question? Because what is he going to ask for?
Yeah.
And
what
how on earth am I going to get it?
Giving someone.
I literally thought I was going to be the Grinch who stole Christmas. I was like, what am I doing?
It's like you're like teasing them if they're like, I want this, and you're like, oh, I can't give it to you.
And I just went through with it, and I was like, yep, trust Roseanne's impulsive nature to just ask this question.
Yeah.
And then I was like bracing myself for like, a house, a car. And the guy said, I'd love a pair of shoes because mine have holes in them. And I was like, okay. And I wrote that down on notes in my iPhone, had a chat with him, went to the next person. If I could get you your dream Christmas present, what would it be? And that person said a music player. They said anything? I said, yeah, anything. And he was like, a music player. I haven't been able to listen to my own music in a very long time. Wow. I wrote that down. I went to the next person and the next person and the next person. And I'll never forget this person who looked at me and said, anything? And I was like, yeah, you did it, Rose. Like, you're going to, like, this one, you're screwed. Like, what have you done?
This guy's really going to...
Yeah. He was like, anything? And I said, yeah, like a dream Christmas present. And he said, I would choose to buy my girlfriend a bouquet of flowers because I haven't been able to in a very, very long time. And I remember that that touched me a lot when he said that. And I was like, far out. And there were so many people who said, I can't think of something because I've never opened a Christmas present, or that brings back a lot of traumatic memories. I don't want to talk about it. Yeah. By the end of the day, I had this list on my phone and I was like, now what am I going to do? So naturally, I jumped on Facebook. I created a Facebook event and I called it Christmas on the Streets. And I posted these presents, invited friends until Facebook said, you've reached the limit of inviting friends, and asked everybody else to invite their friends. And I said, let's rally together. Let's get these presents and let's go out the weekend before Christmas and hand everything out to the people who, are going to be spending Christmas alone. And yet I was like, I'm going to drag my siblings along, some of my besties, and we're going to go and do it. And the event sort of went viral on like the internet, and it was picking up traction, and people were like dropping things off to my house and, signing up to volunteer. And I was like, okay, I don't know what I'm going to do on this day, but let's just do it. A friend of mine, he owns the Australian Elite Team, which is a jiu-jitsu martial arts club, and they had a gym in Tullamarine at the time, and he opened his doors to me and said, Rose, use this the day before your event and use it to gather everybody to pack, because I was like, it's impossible, I can't do it at my house. So we gathered at his gym, packed all these presents, wrapped them up, put them in like buckets and baskets and bags and stuff, and we loaded everything in as many cars as we could, and the next day we went and met into the city. And I thought, there's still going to be like 10, 15 people who show up. We had under 100 people, like just under 100 people come to the city. And I remember standing on the steps at H&M like, oh my goodness, what the hell have I done? What am I going to do with these people? Anyway.
Hang on. These were the volunteers?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, volunteers who came and showed up to hand out these presents. And so we split up into two teams, like two groups. And I was like, you guys tackle that side of the city. We're going to tackle this side of the city. And let's go. We've got trolleys and we put everything into trolleys.
Okay, so these were actually the things that people asked for?
Yep. Plus other gifts.
And you had their names attached to those?
So the specific presents that were asked, they were like our regulars, people we knew, the people I met on Burke Street that day. And those presents we had like made special notes on that these are the presents going to people. And then we had an abundance of like shoes and, music players and sleeping bags and, sanitary packs, perfume, gift sets, like just a whole heap of random things like new jumpers and new socks. And we made them into these bundles and we were like, these are for the people we meet on the day. Like whoever's meant to receive them will receive them. And with COTS since then until now, it's this first person, first serve basis. Like the first person you see is the first person you serve.
Yeah, you can't.
Exactly right. And with homelessness, you can't really plan. Like you can't be too sure.
You can't be texting them going, show up.
Exactly right. Yeah. And so that finished and I was like, that was a huge success. It was one of the best days of my life. I'm like, I'm going to do it every Christmas. I'll do that in Melbourne. And then January, February came, Carlo, and I had people inboxing me, messaging me, writing to me, what's your charity called? How do we volunteer? My friend's been talking about it. I want to do this with you again. How often do you go out? And I was like, you're like,
hang on, it's not Christmas yet.
I was like, no way. But then I remember a friend of mine said to me, Rose, you've wanted to do something for so long. Maybe this is it. Like, maybe this is it. And I was like, yeah, maybe this is it. Or like, I can't. It wasn't an option to turn back on it. Like, so it just felt so right. I didn't even question not doing it. But I'm such an indecisive person. I had, it takes me ages to order something or pick something that I was like, what am I going to call it if we make it a charity? What am I going to call it? And I was like, we just kept the name Christmas on the Streets. And I was like, every day we go out, we're bringing the joy of Christmas, and it abbreviated nicely into COTS. People think it's like really deep and meaningful that I chose like Christmas on the streets. It's because I could not think of anything else. That's the secret, everybody. Yeah, abbreviated nicely into COTS. We kept it, and yeah, the rest has almost become history. We started going out weekly to fortnightly, and we call them street runs when we go out and distribute these items and check up on our friends. I continue to do that Christmas event every Christmas, and we have a July winter event now where we book a hall in the city every July, and we invite all of our streeties indoors, and they receive free haircuts, makeovers, chef cook meals, brand new clothes, manicures, there's board games there, and they just get to chill for an entire day outside from the cold. Wow. And in between all of that, I do school talks now, go to workplaces, businesses, lots of school retreats and programs, talking to children about what COTS does, and just how you can use their gifts to make the world a better place. And yeah, lots of event stuff like Evolve, where I met you, and yeah, that's pretty much COTS today. Went to Sydney actually recently, going to start a team in Sydney.
Wow.
Until maybe it's going to grow nationwide. We'll see. It's up in the air now.
This is incredible. I'm so proud of you, and like everything you're doing. This is amazing, and this is why I wanted to dig into it, because you were like 10 minutes ago, you're like, yeah, that's all I do. And I'm like, no, get into it. This is like important to talk about. So there's so many things that I wrote down because I'm like, I really want to remember these. That feeling of being, I guess, privileged growing up and not seeing what was happening on our own streets. I can relate to that. I've always wanted it. You can ask my friends. It's actually been on the podcast a year ago. I was like, one of my things is I always wanted to build a well in a country that needs water, because I understand that just having water is such a blessing to have that resource available. Would love to do it for other people. Then that kind of was the moment for me where I was like, wow, there's people in our street, and I've seen them as well. And it's always, I think they've got a stigma where it's like, don't help them. Like, they don't need the help. It's people in other countries. It's like, if we can't help the people here, then how can we help those other people? Like, at least you have a direct impact on these people, and you are, because you're giving it to them. And it's asking, what stood out was you're asking people what they actually want, not assuming what they want or need. So for instance, like, you might be like, oh, they want a car or a house. It's like, no, maybe they just want flowers or food or a conversation. And for me, that was, even hearing that is like, wow, like, if you actually ask someone what they want, maybe they just want a conversation, but yet I'm assuming that they want X, Y, Z, or they're on the street because of X, Y, Z. It's like, no, you don't know unless you ask. And I think that it's incredible. I can't give you any more praise. Like, I can give you lots of praise all day. And I think that like, you're mixing, like you were saying, you're always a giving person ever since you were like 16, 17. I think that's amazing. Like, I'm so doing that for my birthday, Christmas, everything, to donate it all, because it's like, what else do I really need? I don't need things. Like, I can create whatever I want. Why not put it towards something else? I think Facebook does that at the moment, where I see on birthdays,
choose to pick a charity to donate to. Yeah.
And I think that's amazing. I don't know how much actually goes to it, but like,
I hope. But it's pretty cool that there's an option there, that we're like starting to realize this or talk about it, because, and like, it stands out to us because it's so foreign, because we're in this society or this world now where it's like me. Yeah. Like, how can I have the best birthday party? How can I get the newest gifts? How can I get my name engraved on the most things or whatever? And it's like, if we step back and just say, do we really need that? Like, how is that serving us? Is that really making us better people or making us more fulfilled? And I think the danger of that is, the more you seek these materialistic temporary things, the more you're going to be just chasing your own tail, like, because it's never going to fulfill you. There's always going to be that void, and that void can only be filled with things that are eternal, like, things that you can't put a price on, things that people are going to talk about after you're gone, because everything else we're leaving behind here, our birthday parties and our money and our chains and our clothes and our sneakers, that's all staying behind. Like, what are you building? What are you giving yourself to or living for that's going to remain? Like, that's not in the realm of time. Like, that was my, like, what sparked that fire in my heart. I was like, what am I going to leave behind? Because I was like, all right, I'm sacrificing my birthday.
That was inverted commas.
Inverted, guys. Yeah, I forget you can't see me. Inverted. What am I missing out on? And I was like, okay, a cake, like a couple of gifts, like perfumes, like clothes, sneakers, gift vouchers. What am I really missing out on? And then I thought about, what am I gaining?
Yeah.
Like, people think I'm so selfless because I do all of this. And I'm like, I gain far more than I give. Like, I looked at those photos, 16, 17 months later of the kids drinking from the water. And I was able to go to sleep that night, knowing that these kids now can go to school because they don't have to fetch water. They can, live lives, just spend time with their families because they're not walking for miles and miles fetching water. I won out of that. That was me winning. Yeah. And I couldn't have been thrown a birthday party that would have given me that feeling. Yeah. In the moment, maybe.
Yeah, probably would have.
Yeah,
that
in
night,
the moment for a night. But then that's what I mean. Like, that's going to stay behind there on that day. Whereas this lives forever.
It's. I can see that as leaving a legacy. But even not to make it that extreme, it's just you've got a mission and a purpose that inspires you. And, I just had the conversation. So right now, when this comes out, it would have been 2 weeks ago with Dr. John DeMartini, and he was saying that, when you mix, contribution of giving, because we all want to give, when we do that with things that we're passionate about, that's when we get ultimate fulfillment in life. And that's what we're seeking. We're not seeking the money, the material things. Like, for instance, I've got so many soccer trophies, and I was taking the little engraved thing off because I'll keep that and I'll give the trophies to Salvos or wherever. Give it to someone. Like, they need it more than I do. And Mum's like, don't do that. I want to keep them. I'm like, Mum, I don't need them. Like, what? It's collecting dust. Like, imagine if you repurpose that and gave that to a child to inspire them or something like that. I'm like, Mum, for me, my realization was collecting all these things when I was younger. I'm like, I don't need these things. It's, for me, do it like this podcast. Giving to people through a platform like this means so much to me. I don't get paid for this. Like, this is me going out of my way, driving 7 hours to do this, but I love it because I'm giving back by impacting people's lives. And you're doing it in such an amazing way. So my question is would you say you're living your purpose?
Definitely. I think I can say yes to that now more than I've ever been able to. Does that mean that my purpose is going to remain this forever and I'm going to be doing the same thing? No. Does it mean that, tomorrow or in a couple of years my purpose will shift? Definitely. But am I living my purpose today? 100%. I'm doing something that, makes me happy, is making other people happy, is creating a ripple effect in the communities that I'm a part of. I'm seeing people, have that light bulb switch moment. And that for me is like, I think when you do something that is your purpose, something that you were put on this earth to do, when you're achieving that mission and that goal, you just know. And I think a lot of the people that you've spoken to and people in your community and people, they know. And someone like yourself, when you're doing this, driving 7 hours doesn't feel like a chore because it's what you're meant to be doing. And, writing a uni assignment drains my life, but I could spend days on days planning a COTS event. I built our COTS website one night at 4 a.m. and it did not even feel like I was doing anything that was draining or tiring because it was what I was meant to be doing. It's what gives me life. It doesn't drain my cup. It
inspires you.
It fills my cup 100%. And so, right now, definitely, am I doing everything that I love and am I achieving all of my goals? No, definitely not. Is it going to shift? It definitely will. But am I living my purpose? 100%, because I know every single day that I wake up, I've got something to do, like a mission, a task, and achieving that fills my heart, and that's my purpose. Doing that day in and day out. I love that.
I love that, and I can feel that energy and see it in you. You're like almost making me cry. That's why I was like, don't break down, Carlo. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it as well and sharing in that. What is success to you?
Success is making life better for other people and in turn having that make you a better person. I don't want to give any cliche answers of like success is blah, 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 but like success is different for everybody, but success is not something that like I think we should be looking to, measure with like a price tag or whatever. It might be for some people. Some people might be living, incredible lives that are in some, space that, acquires money or whatever, and that's amazing. But I think success for me is, leaving people better than I found them, making the world a better place, like just knowing that I've made somebody's, it doesn't even have to be their life. Like these things are so grand. Just making somebody's day better, like giving somebody way, like, just little things like that are so big. Success is just going to bed one night, knowing that instead of hurting somebody, you've made somebody happier. There. And going to bed at night,
I think, you said it also before, where it was like you're doing the things you love, which is in turn giving to you, which is also giving to other people in service and contribution.
Everybody
And whether that's through COTS or through organising events, doing podcasts, or doing what you love and sharing that is contribution. And yeah.
Contributing to the greater good. I like that.
Yes. To the community, to the planet. We're all part of this. We're all one.
We all belong to one another. We do. We're all connected.
Yes. So what is the worst thing that has ever happened to you, and how is that the best thing that has ever happened to you?
The worst thing, probably, it's nothing too, drastic. I'm not going to try to make it like a movie or whatever, because I haven't. I'm not going to like give myself some pity party story,
life,
and it's not. Right. Yeah. So I can think of like something that I thought was going to be the worst thing that ever happened to me. I remember finishing year 12 and thinking I was going to get into this degree that I've studied hard for. I was always like academic at school, and I thought I'm going to smash my grades, get into this degree, and study biomed and become a doctor and then get into psychiatry or whatever. And I remember receiving my like ATAR, that's what we call it here, like your score, and realizing that I didn't get into the degree that I wanted, because I missed out by a little bit. And I was like, my life crumbled before my eyes. I was like, no shit, because you plan what your future's going to look like. I remember in grade 6
on your ATAR.
That for me was
the pressure
huge.
That the schools put on
that
us.
was huge for me. Like that was all I knew in this world. I was like, because that determines everything afterwards. Because this determines everything. Because in school it's like this determines this and A determines B, and then you get C and whatever. And I thought that was like how that was. I remember like vividly in grade 6 we had a project, and it was called This Is Your Life, and we had to make a book based on that TV show. And we had to make a book and plan our life, like say what our life was going to look like. We had to literally find pictures on Google Images and like for babies, like how many babies we were going to have, what our husband would look like just plan your whole life.
It's kind of like oh my God.
Like a vision board thing?
A vision board, a mission statement.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, but like in this portfolio version. And I remember I had written like, this was my score. This is the uni I'm going to get to. It's going to take me this long. And after that, I'm going to get married. And then I'm going to have my kid after 2 years. And just whatever, like in intricate detail. And so when that happened, I remember the day of, realizing that I wasn't going to get into the uni course. And I was like, well, there goes my life, because I'd already planned it. And this is what was meant to happen. And it didn't go to plan.
So my life is
over. And my life is over. Yeah, what am I going to do? I'm doomed. And I ended up getting into like a very similar degree anyway at a different uni. Did that for 2 years. I was doing bioscience at La Trobe, and absolutely hated it. But I didn't drop out after the first year, because I was like, how could I have ever wasted a year of my life? I have to keep going. And I remember in the second year, COTS was taking off as well. And I was like, waste 2 years or waste your whole life, Rose. Like, this is not what you want to be doing. Like, who cares? 2 years and then there's your whole life. Like, just balance that out. And I just felt like an idiot. And I was like, nah, this is not what I want to do. Moved to uni in the city, started doing psychology, which is everything that I've ever wanted to do. And now everything makes sense. I'm like, everything had to happen that way. If I got into that degree that I want, COTS would have never been born. I would have never went through with this. I would have never met the people that I've met. I wouldn't be doing this degree that might in the future link into this mission of mine, and everything will combine and become this beautiful blossoming tree, or nothing would have been the same. Nothing. Like the people I know, the relationships I have, where I am now, and I am so damn grateful that it unfolded the way it did. And I think I remember that moment. Every time something doesn't go to plan now, I'm like, hey, things haven't gone to plan before, and they're the best damn thing that's ever happened to you. This is it too. It's made me really open to change. It's made me very flexible. I used to be a very person, just everything goes by the books, everything's so rigid, plan everything, blah blah blah. And I think growing up, through experiencing things like loss, losing loved ones, friends of ours that are passing before their times, and spending days and days with people on the streets that have nothing but give everything, they've taught me more than anything that just take today, and that's it. Just take today as it comes. Be present right now, because this is all you have. I think, Carlo, we get so lost in making plans for tomorrow and next year, and next July I'm going to Europe, and next year I'm doing this, and in 5 years I'm going to be married. Who says you've got tomorrow? Who says we're getting home today? Nobody. All we have is right now. So why not give it everything? Because if we get lost in all of that and it disappears, we become, that 16-year-old Rose that was like, my life is doomed because things didn't go to plan. But in reality, that's not the truth at all. Yeah.
I love that perspective on it. And it's reminds me of the quote, everything is on the way, not in the way.
Yeah.
And I think in thinking about that as well, like the ATAR score, not similar to me. I didn't even get an ATAR score, so there you go. Good old VCAL. So when that happens, like I think of that as, and it's something I take my clients through, my students through, and through all of our programs, is setting end goals. Being in the now, 100%. You need to be now and making the most of today, because if you're not, then you're kind of wasting life and time and hours. And again, we never know how long we've got. But those end goals are not a physical thing, like a trophy or like an ATAR score. Your end goal is fulfillment, contribution, all those big things that will inspire you every single day. Yes, along the way, like that ladder to get there may involve an ATAR score or studying a certain thing.
Yeah.
But when you see the hidden order in your life at that moment, it pushed you off that way, but you got something else from it, which was another path to create COTS and then to come back into your dream thing. It was just that time where it just had
detour.
it had to detour you off and then course correct back, because hey, that's just the plan that whoever is controlling this,
that's just how it works.
You created.
That's just how it works. I think, I'm a big believer in, it's so cliche, but what's meant to be will always be. It will. If something's meant for you, it will always find its way to you.
100%.
And if something's not, no matter how much you force it, and I think, we've all had a taste of this, like forcing a relationship, forcing, a career, a job or whatever. If it's not meant to be, it will deteriorate.
Yep.
But what's meant for you, there are so many things, I don't think, a few years ago you sat back like, I want to create this podcast and blah blah blah. You didn't, but it was meant to be, and it finds its way to you in the most bizarre, beautiful, unique ways, and we have to trust in that because I think it reminds me of a piece of advice that was given to me a while ago.
Oh, we're going to the second question here. Yeah, that's right.
Is that the question? And I used to be, how I said I was very bad at making decisions, and like I was a very little worried. Like I was always like, but I want to know what's going to happen tomorrow. I want to know what my future's going to look like. I was very afraid of stepping into the unknown, and it was just I don't know where it came from really, but I was just this person who wanted to know what was happening. I wanted to stay in the loop. Like I don't like surprises, and so I was talking to this person one day, and I said to them, what's my purpose? Like, what am I meant to do? Like, what am I doing? And how do I know if I'm going down the right path or the wrong path? Or how do I know what my ideal goal, career, thingo is? And he looked at me and he said, Rose, every single day is your vocation. And I'll never forget that. He said, you don't wake up one day and you say, and today's day one of living my purpose. And today I'm finally here at my goal. He said that day doesn't exist. He says every day is a day that's a part of that. Yeah. And then in the end, when you look at the whole picture, it's like putting together a puzzle. You don't look at this puzzle and say, well, this is everything. It's not. It's a piece of the puzzle. But without it.
And you don't say it's because it's piece number 1 out of 100.
Exactly right.
You don't go, this is incomplete, throw it away.
Yeah, it's not time for this yet. You trust every piece has its part, and it does.
Yeah.
And he's like, every day is your vocation, and I'll never forget that. Just every day is your vocation, and every day I wake up, I'm like, whatever I do today, that was my purpose. This is my end goal, because it might be.
Yeah.
This might be it, And it's not like, I don't want to put people off setting goals or whatever, because we need them. Don't think, oh, well, Roseanne said live in the moment, don't set a goal for tomorrow. You're meant to, we're meant to have these goals, things to aspire to,
end goals,
things we want to grow to, people we want to become, and traits we want to develop, and blah blah blah. All of these things are amazing, but we have to remember consciously that if things don't unfold the way we originally planned them, we're not doomed. It's not over. Yeah, it's not over.
Yeah.
Be like water, they say. Be like water, stream, go with the flow.
Be able to flow.
If
the water's in a cup, it becomes the cup.
Exactly
so
right.
It's adapting. It's adapting to any situation that comes your way. And I think when you do start to focus on those end goals, such as, I want to contribute every single day. That's very vague, but you can contribute, whether you've got nothing or you've got everything, because you can contribute in a conversation. So there's your end goals, but then you can piece it down and go, okay, maybe I want to start a charity, maybe I want to do this, maybe I want to build wells. That's just things along the way. But if you're doing something, like you're saying, every single day, I love that so much. I'm so glad you said that, because I've been trying to piece together the words to say that, but amazing. So many quotes going to come from this. So I think it also reminds me of my whole thing, even when I was young in school, and my teachers have contacted me and told me this, because recently I was like, I've always wanted to speak on stage and share my story, but also share other people's stories through this, the podcast, to inspire others, because I think that's what inspired me when I was younger. And when I was playing soccer and I didn't make it, I felt like I lost my identity. I lost who I was. I was never making it. I thought I was trying to do it to become David Beckham for everything that he's got, and to, the fame, money, skill, all of that, and to make all the money and all of that, and to become famous. It was never that. It was like, I want to get to there so that I can come back to my local town and build the best soccer complex for the kids. Like, it was always to do with contributing.
There was always more to it.
Yeah, it always had a big aspect of contributing. And now that path didn't go the way that I thought it would, it put me on this path where I'm literally doing what I love every single day, meeting amazing people like yourself. But I know the end vision, or the end goal, not end goals, the end vision and the legacy, and I'm doing that every single day. Yeah, I may not be achieving those goals every single day, but I'm still on purpose, and I'm still inspired every day in the actions that I'm taking to get me there. And it's because I realised what that was. Yeah. We could go on a whole nother podcast about that, but
and you're not failing. Like, I think that's the thing. You're not failing if there's a down day or whatever, because it's all serving this greater purpose, something that's bigger than us. That's this bigger picture, which will eventually fall into place. It's not like every single day. It's like, how many sleeping bags did I give out today, or how many podcasts did I record today? Damn, I'm not doing my purpose. It's not that.
How many people have listened to the podcast today?
Exactly right. Yeah, how many people have listened, or have I edited enough hours today, or blah, blah, blah. You're not failing if you have a day where you're like, I did less today, because you're still on that path.
Yeah, 100%. And one of the tattoos that I will get one day, I've been saying this for 2 years, is you're exactly where you need to be, or right exactly now. Where you're supposed to be right now. And remembering that is knowing that, okay, I'm on the path. Like you said, then you can start putting in the action and the work every single day.
That's exactly what a path
to
is.
Get you.
Bumps, ditches, detours, roadblocks, but you're on the path.
Exactly. Sometimes you run out of fuel too.
Yeah.
You need to refuel.
Yeah, that too.
So the next kind of question is, what is the best advice you've ever been given? Was it that?
One of the pieces was definitely that. Every day is your vocation.
So what is the best advice you've ever been given?
I think I've got like the best advice, the best quote for like a lot of different aspects in my life, like the different things that I do. But one of them, Mother Teresa's my girl. Like, I love find your Calcutta, because that's what grounded me in COTS and what I was doing. She said, so where Mother Teresa served, so all of the people that she served, where she was based and did her service, was in Calcutta, India. Okay. That was the name of the place. And a lot of people were like, we want to be like her. We want to do what you do. We're all going to come and volunteer with you. And she looked at the people and said, find your Calcutta. Like, where is the place that needs your service? The place that needs your giving, your contribution. And that for me was like, this is it. Like, this is how I'm doing that on the streets. And, something that I want to, if there's anything I can offer people or like tell them is, it's not, we don't do this. I don't talk about COTS, and I don't, share my story so that everybody can volunteer with me, or so that everybody can go and end homelessness, or so that everybody can go and start a charity. Not at all. It's just find your thing, because we all have a thing. Like, you have something that I can't do, and I've got something that's not your biggest passion. And when we use all of our different things and put them together, that's when change happens. That's when, we go from making ripples to creating waves. Like, it's all of us using what we do, finding our Calcuttas. Like, it's not even about service or mission or helping the poor. Find that place that needs you, because the world needs you. You're here for a reason. You have something that you can offer that nobody else can. Why would you let that go to waste? Like, the world would be a better place with your thing. Find it, use it, give it, and live it. And far out, like, we're going to all, make our significant impact somewhere. And it's all going to look different, but that's the beauty of it, that not everybody's going to end homelessness, but you're going to do something that I won't have time to do, or I can't do. But you doing it and me doing it means together we're making the world a better place. That's everything. That's life for me.
Yeah. Wow. I can see your passion and energy. It's amazing. And like through my head, I'm going, oh my God, like there's so many, like you're saying, we do it together, we go further, we create waves. 100%. Like, for example, like in my head, there's like 100 ways we could collaborate, and with everyone from Evolve, like all of that, like Evolve was just is a massive collaboration of people, products, and all of that coming together to serve 100%. And to contribute. And I love that so much. What advice would you give your 16-year-old self?
I would tell 16-year-old Rose, she has no idea what she's in for. I would tell myself to not worry too much about not fitting in. Like, I was the girl who, like, don't be afraid for going for those leadership positions, or, you know, feel bad that you're like school captain and you're always talking at school, and, you know, don't tell Rose that, oh, she's less than somebody else because she didn't get a boyfriend in high school or whatever. Like those little things, which were so important to 16-year-old Rose, which sounds so stupid to me now, but that was my world back then. And if I, looked at 16-year-old Roseanne right now, I would just be like, don't worry too much about everything you're worrying about, because it's all working together for this bigger picture that's going to make you so damn happy. You think some things are going to make you happy right now, and you'll realize that them falling apart is going to make room for something that's so much better for you. So just be you, and and I'd give her a little pat on the back for not trying too hard to fit in and not feeling too bad about being a bit different, because that became what got me to where I am today, and I'm very, very grateful for the way things unfolded. Yeah.
Amazing. How do you think people can become more fulfilled in life?
Like what we were talking about before, just finding their purpose, their gift. I think if we tune into ourselves and listen to what our hearts are telling us, what our minds are telling us, instead of what the world's feeding us and teaching us, I think we've never been so bombarded with content. Like we're just 24/7. We're just stimulus. Like we're constantly absorbing this stuff, and it's not our stuff. Like it's coming from the world, and it's what the world wants us to see and hear, and what the world wants us to become. I think not becoming a slave to that, like stepping away from that and just, you know, spending time alone, being content by yourself, realizing that no one's ever going to fulfill you. Like it's not a job or another person. You know, when people say he or she is my other half, like they are not your other half. You're complete. You're not a half on this mission to find your other half. Everything else is a blessing. You know, it's a bonus. Things make us better people and make us grow, but you're not a failure by yourself. You're not incomplete. You've got all that you need to make your life better and other people's lives better. I think being fulfilled is tuning into that. Exactly right. Tuning into that, realizing that you already have all that you need, and then, you know, asking yourself, well, now how can I give it back to people? How can I make other people feel like this? How can I show other people that, hey, you've got all you need too, you know? Stop chasing your own tail. Like, let's go on this journey together as fulfilled people, making the world a better place. So being fulfilled is tuning in, finding out what your gifts are, what your skills are, who you are, and what that means, where that places you in this world. I think that's where you find fulfillment.
I love that so much. What is one change people can make in their life that would have the biggest impact on improving their life? So this is like a tangible tool or tip that you know and you use that you think would benefit other people. I think
leaning into, you know, a lot of people say like gratitude and journals and stuff, and all of those things are amazing tips. If there was one I could, because I practice all those things as well, but if there's one thing I could offer that maybe hasn't been offered on the podcast before, I haven't heard all like 60 of them. I'm trying, but I haven't heard all of them.
That's 60 hours of quality content.
I'll get there, I promise.
If someone's listened to all 60 episodes, please reach out. You'll be getting something special bonus that is crazy amount of time listening to my voice.
I think if there's anything I can offer, it would be to lean into something bigger than yourself. You know, for me, that's my faith. Like, I practice my faith. I'm a Christian, and leaning into that for me, it's prayer. Like, for other people, it's meditation. For some people, it's yoga. For some people, it's practicing, you know, journaling.
It might be prayer, but just not on a
like faith religious basis.
Religious
yeah,
basis.
Exactly right. I have a lot of friends who don't believe in, you know, God, or don't believe in what I believe in, but they say, Rose, I do believe there's something bigger than me, and I pray, and it just makes me feel at peace. And, you know, even if you don't believe in it for the sake of following a faith or a religion or whatever, but it's like you believe that there's something bigger than you, and you lean into that, and if it gives you comfort and peace, do it. Because I think everything in this world is so rapid and moving and fast and constantly evolving. I think for me personally, I need something that's constant, something that I can lean into when the world gets too much, and that's that for me. So find your thing in that, if I could offer somebody something.
Love it. What are you most proud of in your life?
In terms of like, I'm proud of the things I've overcome. Like I never, you know, had a crazy story or something tragic, like I was saying before, happened to me, but I'm proud of the fact that I was able to stay true to myself through some trials and tribulations. I'm very proud of the fact that I can now say that I'm proud of myself, because for a very long time I was made felt guilty for saying that. I was never allowed to do that because I was helping the poor. So I was meant to be humble, and I was never meant to post photos of it on Instagram. And that was the biggest, a lot of people have that bullying story in high school. I don't have that high school version. I have one when I started COTS, and that was my first taste of receiving hate, I think you could call it. So
why was this? What was... not specifically, but like...
No, we can talk about it. I was not okay with talking about it for a long time because it used to make me really upset. And
so this was you posting photos of what you were doing?
Yeah. So I'll after starting COTS, I had like a big group of friends, and I thought... I wasn't an idiot. I wasn't naive in the sense that I was never going to receive hate in my life. But I thought, if you become a soccer player, if you start a fashion label, if you do any of these things, it's so natural to receive hate. Because if you're a soccer player, someone's not going to go for your team. It's normal to get picked on. And if you start a fashion label...
someone that doesn't...
Exactly right. Think you're the best.
Or agree with what you're doing, and that's...
Yeah, he should have done that. He should have made that move. You're going to get picked on regardless.
Yeah.
You start a fashion label, people are going to hate your jumper. Like, that looks like, shit. We don't like it. It's not my style. You're going to get picked on with this stuff. And people set themselves up for that because that's normal. You're not meant to please everybody. That's not what we're made for. But for me, when I started COTS, it wasn't the place that I thought I was going to receive this, because I was like, hey, we're getting together and giving people some food. Obviously, everybody's going to support that. Who on earth would be against that? And saying it out loud, maybe I was a bit naive, but I just thought this was the world colour. Like, I thought everybody, like, if we tell people, hey, let's help people, everybody would get behind it. Like, I was just so like, of course everybody's good. Like, of course people want to help. And when I started it, I received the most, like, I've never received anything like it before. Like, yes, there was so much support, and the support has always outweighed the negativity. But for a long time, I had people saying, if you're really helping people because you want to help people, you wouldn't post a photo of it on Instagram, would you, Rose? And people saying, if she really was, not doing it for the fame, she wouldn't create an Instagram account for it. Or, you're only giving out food. Do you not know that people that are homeless because of domestic violence?
Yeah, it's...
like, looking at you like you're an idiot. And this got to me so bad. And I've got pretty tough skin, like thick skin. Nothing really gets to me that bad. And for a while, I felt so alone. I didn't tell anybody about it. People were posting stuff. Like, I remember at one of our events, our July event, someone posted, and at this point I had cut ties with all of these people, but other people that I knew these people, and somebody posted, the causes of homelessness are so and so and so, but you go ahead and keep painting people's nails, because we had a manicure station at our event. And I remember somebody sending that to me saying, hey Rose, is this about COTS and you? Like, do you want us to say something? And I remember saying, no, these people are my friends. It's definitely not about COTS. Like, please let it go. And I think that's a testament to who I was, as like, I hated drama in high school and stuff. So I never wanted to feed into it. And then I would go and like take this in myself. And that for me, like, back to that question where you said, what's the worst thing that's happened to you that was the best thing? Those things that happened to me were pretty damn tough, but they were the best things that happened to me because nothing's clarified my intention more. Yeah. It was sticking true to what I knew I was doing was right. 100%. And I could have never proved that to myself if I didn't have anybody challenge it. I needed people to look at me and say, oh, you're a fake, you're a fraud, you're a wannabe, like, you're doing it for attention, you're doing it for social media. I needed people to say that to me so that I could then become by myself, get sad about it, have my cry, and then pick myself up and say, hey, if nobody ever comes to my street run again because I'm doing this for attention, I know my intention, God knows my intention, I know why I'm doing it, and if I'm doing it by myself, I'm going to keep doing it. And being able to look at myself in the mirror and say that, like, this is what you're doing, and you're not doing it for anything else but because this is your purpose, that for me was like, that's what I think set COTS alight. Like, just because that just, people say, that people that know me know that was the switch. That's when, like, the COTS effect became contagious. Like, people were jumping on board and loving it because people just saw past the rest of the BS. Like, and it filtered out the people that weren't meant to be a part of the project. And now I know that not everybody wants to help people. Not everybody wants to make a change, and that's okay. That's a reflection of them, and I can't let that taint me. And that for me was another dip and like challenge, but it became like the best thing. That for me gave me so much clarification and hope. And I'm so sorry, what was the question?
That was all right, you got there. Most proud of in life, and I think that's
overcoming all of that.
That's amazing, because, like, for example, I've gotten that for this podcast.
I've
got people that go that it, like, I've had people laugh at the courses I've released it and say, what is that shit? And it's like, okay, you don't get it. You're not in that, like, and you're at a different path in your life and different values. cool. Yeah, I got upset about it because I was like, you don't want people to comment that stuff on your stuff.
And no, because it's something you love. Like, this is your 100%. Baby, you know? Like, it's something you love. So when somebody, of course it's going to affect you. Like, we can't pretend to be like...
you having a kid and someone saying that kid's ugly.
Yeah,
like
it's yours, man. Like, and it means everything to you. And I think it's very important that we don't put on this ego and this, like, this facade and we're like, oh, it doesn't affect me. Like, hate doesn't touch me, whatever. Like, you're human, of course. Like, you're not invincible.
Don't let it actually affect you in terms of...
a bad way, As in, like, it doesn't touch you, it doesn't have an impact on you. Of course it does. But don't let it damage you, control you, break you, ruin your life. But don't pretend that it's not, because you have to feel those moments, and you have to, like, what's the word? Like, process everything. You have to. You have to feel it and let go of it. And because you're human, you're not a robot. Like, that's why we have feelings, and that's why we're meant to feel a mix of emotions. We're not meant to be happy all the time.
There's the polar opposites of life.
Right.
The yin yang, up, down,
exactly.
good, bad.
And it all works together for a greater good. Like, we've got to do that. So, we've got to embrace those moments, let them happen, because they are going to happen. Everybody's going to experience trauma and tragedy and hardships in their life. Process them, but then know that that doesn't define you. I had to make sure that didn't define me, and that I was bigger than that, and I was doing something that served a much bigger purpose than feeding into a couple of negative comments. I was on a mission to feed the world, and I was like, I don't have time for this. And I had to do that. So I'm proud that I was able to overcome that. I can say that today. I've never said that before.
I'm proud of you too. It's a great perspective to have, especially on this journey that we're on of impacting the world. So leads into one of the last questions. What impact do you want to have on people, the community, and the world?
I want people that I meet or encounter, or people that listen to my story, I want people to... The impact I want to have on people is leaving them with the realization that they have exactly what they need to make the world a better place. Because the world will always teach you that you need this role, this position, this salary, this degree to start making a difference. And I want my impact to be people realizing that, hey, you've got everything you need right now. I want, anybody that meets me to walk away feeling like I can do something today, because you can. You don't need money, you don't need social media, you don't need food, you don't whatever, because everybody can offer time and everybody can offer themselves, and that in itself causes change. That's the impact I want to have on people.
Love it. And you can be resourceful if you do need other things. So unlimited abundance of resources around us. What does it mean to be conscious?
To be conscious means to be present. I think if I had to sum it up, I think because you can talk about consciousness for years and years and years and years, and you can talk about it across 60 podcasts and still keep going. But I think being conscious means being present, being in the moment, being aware of, your emotions, your feelings, your words, the people you're with. Being aware, being open, and seeing the world with more than just, what you take at face value. Being conscious means going a bit deeper, being present but going a bit deeper, taking that one step extra, asking that next question, spending that extra minute, just doing that. That for me is being conscious, being present, getting the most out of every moment. Without thinking, about tomorrow. Like this whole podcast, I haven't thought about what I'm doing next. I've just tried to be so present with you. And to me, that's me being in a conscious state. Yeah.
I love that so much. Is there anything else you want to share with the listeners? Maybe even how do we get in contact with you, COTS, all of that?
So Instagram's where I'm most active. Social media is really easy for me. So my personal Instagram is Roseanne, RROSEANNEE. So it's just my first name with an extra R and extra E at the end. It's not that complicated. I might end up changing it.
You know what? It'll be in the show notes anyway.
It will. It will be. I'm sure it will be. And Christmas on the Streets. So the charity. Instagram is Christmas on the Streets. Facebook is Christmas on the Streets. Website is christmasonthestreets.com. And if you want to email me, it's roseanne@christmasonthestreets.com. Or feel free to inbox me, DM me. I try to get around to everything. I'm not that busy where I don't have time for people. I make sure I check my messages and my comments and stuff like that. People can get involved by... we post the dates every time we head out on a street run, and it's a charity that's open to everybody. It has no affiliation to anything else but people that want to make a difference and want to make the world a better place. I found that when I wanted to volunteer at places, it was very hard. I had to be 18, or I had to buy a t-shirt, or I had to join a waiting list, or wait for my email when it was my turn. And that put me off a lot. And I was like, if that's somebody's first taste at wanting to volunteer, they're not going to come back. So I was like, how do I change that with the thing I'm doing? And with COTS, people are like, so how do we sign up to your thing? And I was like, you don't. People have literally commented an hour before our street run, hey, can we still join? And we say, we're waiting for you at Flinders Street or whatever. Yep. It's that simple, because the world needs as much help and as much love as we can give it. And if people want to offer that, take it and run with it. Yep. Like, leave that door open.
Don't make it hard.
Yeah, I've had so many people say, how have you attracted so many young people to volunteer with your charity? You know, how have you made giving look cool? And I'm like, I haven't. I never attracted young people. I just didn't turn them away. Yeah. When they came to us, I did not turn them away. And, you know, COTS was built by young people. Like, our clothes are designed by, you know, Christian, Wasted Talent on Instagram, a young person who has a gift. Our food is cooked by my friend. He's a young chef. Our, you know, barbers and hairdressers give their time. Like, our volunteers are all people in school. Like, it's built by young people because they're the future of tomorrow. And so, yeah, volunteering with COTS is super easy. Anyone's welcome. Like, if you're listening to this and you want to even see it, be a part of it, check it out. We post our dates and you're more than welcome to come. If you want to offer your gift to the movement, please tell us about it. I'd love to hear it. If you want to donate, we take sleeping bags, we take money. 100% of all proceeds given to COTS goes back into the movement. Yep. So we're completely volunteer run, nobody makes a cent, and every single cent goes right back into directly helping people. That could be giving them food. We're about to surprise 2 of our streeties I got them U2 concert tickets.
Oh, amazing.
It's been their dream to go there, and like, yeah, everybody that's gotten behind the COTS movement has been helping us make these dreams a reality and helping get people off the streets, you know. And I might not end the homelessness crisis, Carlo, but I hope that I can, you know, the future of COTS will prevent this cycle and break it, and that everybody else who listens finds the place that needs help in their life and makes it a better place, because we all have that ability.
Amazing. I want to acknowledge you and say I'm so thankful and grateful for spending this time with me, for sharing everything, being so raw, open, authentic, vulnerable with your story. Doing the stuff that you do is amazing, because like you said, you're serving you, but you're serving so many others as well, for creating that container and that charity for other people to be able to step in and do that, and for doing an amazing thing in the world. I love it. As I said, I was almost crying during this when you were talking, because I'm like, yes, I love this.
Thank you so much.
And yeah, just being you. I love that so much, and I've loved this conversation. For anyone listening, if anything has triggered you, inspired you, reach out to Roseanne, myself. We love connecting with people and hearing about this. Yeah. Share this with a friend, screenshot it, tag it up on Instagram, and tag everything. Everything will be in the show notes as well. So if you can't find anything, just scroll up and you can find it all there. And I cannot wait to collaborate and to be part of COTS in the future.
Sure this is not the end. Yeah, there's something new.
And more conversations and all of that. So thank you so much.
You're a legend. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much.
I feel really privileged to be on the Conscious podcast.
I feel privileged to be in your
It's a big bubble of love. That's what happens when you have friends with people like us.
Heart is full.
Yeah,
all right, guys, until next time, take care. Peace.
Thank you. Bye.